to be able to afford the burrito the next day and gas to get to the next town. Hit a point where people have wives and children, they start having expectations. And suddenly I had no wife and no band. It was like two things that I thought were kind of permanent factors in my life were kind of gone.
I sent songs to Bill. Hey, here's, a bunch of new stuff. The way I saw it, if nothing else, we could still make records. But by the time I was sending him stuff, I think he was starting to head into being pretty sick.
We were doing a record almost at the height of Bill's illness, and we didn't really know what was going on. We just knew he was really unhealthy and getting unhealthier.
Every time I saw Bill, he was looking worse.
Everybody could kind of tell something was a bit wrong.
I thought it was a nervous breakdown because he's a workaholic kind of guy.
The last time I had spoken with him, he just seemed like he was, in outer space or something.
He started getting mellower, started putting on weight.
He wasn't going to the studio anymore. He was just sitting in front of the TV like a vegetable and getting incredibly large. He peaked out at like 385 or something like that.
But we were all really worried about him and completely clueless as to what to do.
I heard the story about how the neighbor saw his dog out front and, went and knocked on the door to check on him, and Bill was out of it and called him an ambulance, and next thing, he's in the ER.
I got a call from the ER doc that there was a guy downstairs who was in pretty bad shape, who had a pretty large pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot that basically traveled up to the lungs and got stuck in his lungs. This was a clot probably about, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet long or so. It was enormous. I actually recall at the time showing someone the CT scan. Hey, you want to see, look at this, on the screen. And they were like, oh, did you get the autopsy? And I was like, he's alive. When it became apparent that he was going to probably live through this thing, and I started talking to him, just said, you said you were in the music industry, so, what'd you do? And I said, well, I was in a band, I played the drums. Some people would call it punk rock, at which point I'm very interested. Like, so anybody I would have heard of? And he said, there was Black Flag and the Descendants and all. I was like, you're hallucinating. And then I looked down at the chart and it's like, John W. Stevenson. So you're Bill Stevenson? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I know who you are. Because he's looking at me as some dorky doctor and not somebody who, like, back in the 80s was a huge Descendants fan or anything like that.
I went out there and visited him, and he was better, but he was still kind of out of it a little bit.
It became pretty apparent when he came back to see me that everything was not okay, and that was when he had the MRI done of his head that revealed that he had a meningioma, which is a benign tumor about the size of a tennis ball, basically right in the middle of his head right here, more or less compressing both of his frontal lobes. The cure for the tumor is surgery. You can't do surgery on somebody when they're on blood thinners. And when somebody has an enormous blood clot in their lungs, you have to wait. I think it was at about 5 months, and I said, well, I don't know if we're gonna get him any better, Boom, he was in the operating room, I think in like 3 days. There was no guarantee whatsoever that taking this tumor out was gonna bring back his personality. He might get worse, or he might make no recovery.
For us, he's this unsinkable person.
I couldn't imagine not having Bill around.
It's fucked up.
So they went in and put me under, and they sawed my head open, and they removed a 6.5 centimeter meningioma out of my skull and bolted my head back together with titanium plates. And here I am.
We were all prepared for a long, rehab process, but that didn't happen.
He survived 2 things that would kill a normal person.
When I came up out of the anesthesia, I lifted my head up out of the pillow, and I just remember just going, yeah, like, yes, I knew I wasn't getting old.
He called me like 2 days after they removed it, and he was just on cloud 9. It was like a veil was lifted.
And just like, bam, like that's the Bill I met when I joined the band.
Because it had grown exponentially, like kind of in a parabola over years, I just had acclimated to that pressure, and I just thought that that's what a person's head feels like, and that that's what I was gonna be like. I was gonna be an old, lame, huge fat guy. So it was so cool when they got it out of there, and it was just, everything just became really easy.
It was literally a rebirth. His personality was back where it had been gone.
He's really like rejuvenated and just excited about playing and excited about life, and he should be.
And he's drumming better than he has ever.
It's almost like a novel.
I woke up and this Black Flag fan had saved my life. And he lives a block from the studio. It was just so awesome. He made being sick really kick ass, you know?
But I think it put in him even more, if there could be such a thing, even more drive, more earnestness. You know, I got to get done what I got to do with the time I have.
I'm a lucky man. I'm just lucky to be here, and I'm happy to be here, and it's just rad. It's rad to not die.